My name is Aaron, and I worked the late shift at a gas station near an old rest stop. This place had seen better days: grimy floors, flickering lights, and a single, outdated pump. Most nights, I'd spend the hours staring out the window, watching the trucks and cars roll by. But one night, something was different. It was 2:45 a.m., and I had just finished cleaning the counter when I saw a car pull into the lot. It was an old, rusted minivan, the kind you'd expect to see abandoned somewhere. I didn't think much of it until I noticed a man inside. He was hunched over the wheel, his face hidden by the shadows. But what caught my attention was the strange fog surrounding the van. It was as if the fog was following the vehicle, creeping along the ground, swirling in the cold night air. I watched as the man got out, walking toward the station with a slow, deliberate pace. He didn't make any sound. No footsteps, no rustling of clothes. It was like he was floating. He walked past me without a word and headed straight for the restroom. The door creaked as he entered. I stared at the door for a while. Something wasn't right. I went to check the security monitor to see if the van was still there, but when I checked, it was gone, and the restroom door was wide open. I stood frozen, unable to move. The hairs on my neck stood on end. Then the restroom door slammed shut. I rushed over, banging on it, but no one answered. The air smelled of something familiar but wrong, like a mixture of old leather and rotting wood. I pulled the door open. The man wasn't inside, but what I found in the corner sent chills down my spine. The floor was covered in footprints that led nowhere, and there, in the farthest corner, was a single red-handled knife lying on the ground. I ran outside to look for the van. It was parked across the lot, but no one was inside. I haven't gone back to that gas station since, and every time I pass that old rest stop, I swear I can see the van in my rearview mirror, but it's always gone before I can turn around. My name is Zoe, and I worked a late shift at a remote gas station off the highway. The station was nothing special, just a small building with a couple of pumps, but it had something strange about it. It wasn't until I started working there that I noticed the red sign. It was on the back wall of the station, barely visible unless you were looking for it. It read, "Keep your distance." I never thought much of it, just a weird, old sign. Until one night, around 3:30 a.m., a car pulled in, a black sedan, quiet. Too quiet for a car that old. It wasn't making the usual sounds. The engine sounded like it was running on fumes. The driver didn't get out, just sat there, staring at the pump. I thought it was odd, but maybe he was just waiting for the gas to finish. I went back inside to check the register, but when I looked up, I saw something. The driver was no longer in the car. The door was still open, but there was no one around. I stepped outside, cautiously walking toward the vehicle. The air was thick, heavy, like something was pressing down on me. As I got closer to the sedan, I saw the driver's seat was empty, but there was something strange in the back. A red glow. It came from behind the tinted windows, casting an eerie light on the pavement. I backed away, my heart racing. Just then, I heard the door behind me creak open. I spun around. Then the driver was standing there. His face was completely shrouded in shadow, but I could make out one thing. His eyes were glowing red like the light in the back of the car. He didn't say anything, just walked past me, his steps silent on the asphalt. And then, as he reached the red sign on the back wall, he disappeared. I ran back inside, slamming the door shut. The red light from the car still flickered in my mind. I called my boss the next morning, told him I was quitting. He didn't say much, just told me to stay away from the red sign. I never went back to that gas station, but sometimes, when I drive by, I swear I see the red glow from the back of the building, and I hear that voice, low and cold. "Keep your distance." My name is Lily, and I worked the graveyard shift at a small, run-down gas station on the edge of town. Nothing ever really happened there until that night. It was 4:13 a.m., and the station had been empty for over an hour. The usual few cars had stopped, but nothing out of the ordinary. I was just about to start cleaning the counter when I saw headlights in the distance. A black SUV pulled up to pump 3, the kind of vehicle you don't expect to see at a small station like this. The driver was a man in his late 50s, tall, wearing a leather jacket. He stepped out, his boots making a hollow thud on the pavement. I waved, but he didn't wave back. He didn't even look at me. He just walked straight to the pump, as if he'd been here before. I watched him as I wiped down the counter, but something felt off. The air was thick. I glanced up and saw he wasn't pumping gas. The nozzle was still in its holder, but the screen at the pump was flickering, numbers running faster than they should have been, the gas flowing into nothing. My heart skipped. "A beat, sir," I called out, walking toward him. "Are you okay?" He didn't turn around, just kept staring at the pump, his hands gripping the nozzle. I was about to go outside to check on him when I heard the clink of a coin hitting the counter. I turned around. The man was standing behind me. He was so close I could feel his breath on my neck. I jumped back. "I don't need gas." His voice was low, almost a whisper, but I heard it clear as day. "Then why are you here?" I asked. He smiled, a slow, cruel smile. "To make sure you never leave." And just like that, he was gone. I rushed outside to find the pump still running, but the SUV was gone. The parking lot was empty. I checked the security footage. The man had never been there. The station had been empty the whole night. I quit right then, but every time I close my eyes, I see his smile, and sometimes I hear his whisper echoing in the back of my mind. "You're still here." My name is Chris, and I used to work at a gas station off Highway 16. It wasn't a great job, but it paid the bills. The station had one rule: do not enter the storage room after midnight. I always thought it was some weird superstition, until the night I broke the rule. It was 2:27 a.m. when I heard something knocking from inside the storage room. A slow, deliberate tap 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 against the metal door. I froze. The station was empty. No one had come in for the last hour. Maybe it was a rat, or the wind. Then it knocked again, 3 times, louder, stronger. I grabbed the store keys, my heart hammering. I had worked here for over a year, and nothing had ever happened before. So I unlocked the door and opened it. The room was empty, just rows of shelves, stacks of toilet paper, cleaning supplies. Nothing out of the ordinary. But the air felt wrong, thick, heavy, like the whole room was pressing in on me. I stepped inside, and the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, grabbing the handle. It wouldn't budge. Then I heard it, breathing right behind me, long, slow, rattling breaths. I turned. There was someone standing in the corner. No, not someone, something. Its body was thin, too long for a human. Its arms hung limp at its sides, fingers twitching. Its face was covered in shadows, but I could feel its eyes watching me. Then it moved, not like a person, more like glitching video footage. 1 second, it was across the room. The next it was right in front of me. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Then it reached for me, cold. Bony fingers brushed my throat, and then the door flew open. I stumbled back into the gas station, gasping for air. The storage room was pitch black, darker than it should have been. Then the door slammed shut on its own. The knocking never came back. But sometimes, when I pass an empty hallway, hear breathing, and a slow, deliberate knock. My name is Jack, and I used to work at a 24-hour gas station just outside the city. It was the kind of place where time seemed to stretch, where every night felt longer than the one before. One night, at exactly 3 a.m., a man walked in. I remember because the old wall clock above the coffee machine froze the second he stepped inside. Tick. Then nothing. He was tall, with messy blonde hair, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. He looked normal enough until he spoke. Pump 5. His voice was off, like it had been run through a broken speaker. Too deep, too slow. I rang him up, but when I went to hand him his change, his hand passed right through mine. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The man didn't move, just stared at me with gray, empty eyes. Then he was gone, just disappeared. I looked at the security monitors. The store was empty, but outside, the gas pump screen at pump 5 was still running, numbers climbing. It was pumping gas into nothing. The hose dangled in midair, fuel spilling onto the ground. But there was no car, no sound, no wind, just the sickly smell of gasoline. And then the smell changed. Gasoline turned to something rotten, something dead. I ran outside and shut off the pump, my fingers shaking. The second the gas stopped flowing, the power cut out. Total darkness. No streetlights, no hum of the refrigerators inside. Just the deep, crushing silence of the night. Then a whisper, right behind me. "You forgot my change." I spun around. There was no one there, but the money I had been holding, the crumpled bills I had tried to hand him, they were gone. The lights flickered back on, the clock above the coffee machine ticking again. 3:01 a.m. The whole thing had lasted 1 minute. I quit the next day, but every now and then, at 3 o'clock, I wake up to the sound of a gas pump running outside my window, and I smell rotting gasoline. My name is Ethan, and I used to work the night shift at a gas station just outside of town. It was a dead-end job, the kind where nothing happened until one night, something did. It started at 2:13 a.m. I remember because I had just checked the clock when the bathroom light flickered on its own. Then I saw him, a man, standing by the glass door, staring inside. He was tall, thin, and bald, dressed in a filthy button-up shirt. His eyes were too wide, almost like he wasn't sure how to blink. I stood frozen behind the counter. He didn't try to come inside, didn't move at all, just stared. Then I noticed his reflection in the glass. It wasn't right. His real body stood still, but his reflection was grinning. A wide, unnatural grin. And then it moved. Not him, just the reflection. It tilted its head, the smile stretching wider, teeth too sharp, too perfect. I took a step back. The reflection took a step forward. I grabbed the station phone and dialed 911, my fingers shaking. The second I hit call, the power cut out. The store went black. The fridges stopped humming. The only light came from the glow of the gas pumps outside. And in that light, the man was gone, but his reflection was still there, grinning. And then Nit stepped through the glass. I ran, bolted into the back room, slamming the door shut. My breath came in ragged gasps as I pressed against it, waiting. Then I heard it, a whisper. "Let me in, Ethan. You already did once." I don't remember how long I stayed in there, but when I finally stepped out, the gas station was empty. Only one thing was different. The security mirror above the counter was cracked, like something had crawled through it. I quit that night, but sometimes, when I pass by a dark window, I see him, and he's always grinning. My name is Logan, and I used to work the late shift at a small gas station off Interstate 22, the kind of place no one stops at unless they're desperate. One night, around 1:45 a.m., a woman pulled up to pump 9 in a silver sedan. She didn't come inside, just stood there, staring at the pump, her long brown hair hanging over her face. I waited for her to start fueling up, but she never moved. After a minute, I stepped outside. "Need some help, ma'am?" She didn't respond. As I got closer, I noticed something weird. Her hands were shaking. Her fingers twitched like she was trying to move but couldn't. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Then she slowly turned her head, and I swear to God her face was wrong. Her mouth was too wide, stretched into a painful grin. Her eyes were black holes, too deep, too empty. And then she spoke, not in words, in a voice that sounded like gasoline, bubbling inside a metal canister. I stumbled back, heart pounding. That's when I noticed something even worse. Her feet weren't touching the ground. She was hovering. I bolted inside, locking the doors. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the phone to call the police. But when I looked back outside, she was gone. The silver sedan still sat at pump 9, but the driver's seat was empty. Cops arrived 20 minutes later. They checked the security footage. The sedan had pulled up on its own. No one was inside. I quit that same night. But sometimes, when I pass an empty gas station on a lonely highway, I see a silver sedan parked at a pump and a woman standing next to it, waiting. My name is Tyler, and I used to work the graveyard shift at a gas station way out on Route 7. There wasn't much traffic, just the occasional trucker or lost traveler looking for directions. It was quiet, boring even, until one night. It was 4 a.m., and I was halfway through my shift when an old beat-up RV pulled up to pump 4. It was one of those vintage models, the kind that looked like it belonged in a horror movie. I waited for someone to step out. No one did. 5 minutes passed. The RV just sat there, its engine humming, headlights on. I stepped outside, shivering in the cold. "Need some help?" I called. No response. I knocked on the driver's side window. It was ice-cooled. Through the glass, I could barely make out the driver, a pale, thin man with a blank expression. He didn't blink, didn't even move. Then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The passenger seat. There was someone sitting there, only they weren't human. The figure was draped in shadows. Its shape vaguely human, but wrong. Its head was tilted at an unnatural angle, and even in the darkness, I could tell its eyes were open, watching me. I stumbled back. That's when I saw the door handle slowly turn. Screw this. I ran back inside, locking the door behind me. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone to call the cops, but before I could dial, the power cut out. The station went pitch black. The hum of the fridges died. The buzzing of the lights was gone, and outside, the RV was gone, just gone. No engine sound, no headlights disappearing down the road, just empty space where it had been. I didn't work another shift after that, but sometimes, late at night, I see headlights in my rearview mirror, a beat-up RV following too close, and when I pull over to let it pass, it never does. My name is Ethan, and I used to work the night shift at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. It was one of those places that barely saw a handful of cars between midnight and dawn. Hollow Point gas had been around for decades, a relic from a forgotten time, surrounded by miles of dense forest. One night, around 2:30 a.m., I was restocking the fridge when I heard the ding of the door chime. I turned to greet the customer, but no one was there. The automatic glass doors had slid open, but the station was empty. The only sound was the humming of the fluorescent lights and the faint rustling of trees outside. I stepped to the counter and peered out. A black sedan sat at pump 3. Its engine was off, headlights still shining, but no one was inside. I waited for a minute, expecting someone to step out. When no one did, I grabbed the flashlight and walked outside. The air was heavy, carrying the scent of rain-soaked asphalt. As I approached the sedan, a chill ran down my spine. The driver's side door was open, but the car was empty. I shined my flashlight inside. The leather seats were pristine, not a single item inside. No wallet, no phone, no signs of struggle. But as I moved my beam toward the rear seat, I saw something that made my breath hitch. A handprint. A wet, smeared handprint on the inside of the window. as if someone had pressed against it from within. I stepped back, heart hammering. A movement in my peripheral vision caught my eye. A figure stood near the edge of the tree line. It was tall, unnaturally thin, and completely motionless. The darkness obscured most of its features, but I could make out hollow eyes staring right at me. I scrambled back toward the station, slamming the door shut and locking it. I killed the lights inside, hoping whatever was out there wouldn't see me. Minutes passed, maybe more. My breaths were shaky as I crouched behind the counter, gripping my phone. I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. 911, what's your emergency? I tried to speak, but a loud thump against the glass doors made me freeze. My phone slipped from my grasp, clattering onto the floor. Slowly, I peeked over the counter. The thing was standing just outside. Its head was tilted at an unnatural angle, elongated fingers pressed against the glass. I squeezed my eyes shut, muttering under my breath, hoping it would go away. But then, the lights flickered back on, and it was inside. I don't remember much after that. Only darkness, screaming, cold fingers wrapping around my throat. I woke up hours later. Daylight had broken. The station looked untouched. No broken glass, no handprints, no black sedan. My phone was back on the counter, displaying a missed call from 911. I quit that same day, but sometimes, late at night, when I drive past that old station, I swear, I see someone watching me from the tree line. My name is Derek, and for 5 years, I worked the night shift at a gas station off Highway 14, the kind of place truckers stopped for coffee, and drifters came through looking for a bathroom. One night, at around 3 a.m., a car rolled up to pump 6. It was an old, rusted station wagon, headlights dim, engine rattling. A man stepped out tall, wiry, with sunken eyes. He wore a black hoodie, but something about him felt ... off. He didn't come inside, didn't even grab the pump. He just stood there, staring at the station. I watched him from behind the counter. At first, I figured he was just another weirdo, passing through. But then he did something that made my stomach drop. He waved, not the casual kind. A slow, deliberate wave, like he knew me. I didn't wave back. The cameras weren't working that night. They never did when something weird happened. So I grabbed my phone to snap a picture, but the moment I lifted it, the man was gone. I stepped to the window, my breath fogging up the glass. The station wagon was still there, idling. The driver's side door was open, but the man, nowhere. Then I heard a soft tapping behind me. I spun around. The cooler doors were fogged up, condensation dripping. But on the glass, just above the beer section, was a handprint, a fresh one. I backed toward the counter, my heart pounding. I had locked the doors. There was no way he got inside. Then the automatic doors slid open, and he walked in. Only it wasn't him. The thing wearing his hoodie had no face, just smooth, featureless skin where eyes, nose, and a mouth should have been. It tilted its head, like it was trying to figure me out. Then it spoke, but not in words, in static, like an old radio cutting, in and out, hissing and warping. I bolted for the back room, slamming the door shut and locking it. My breathing was ragged as I pressed against it, listening. Silence, then a whisper. You left me there, Derek. I don't know how long I stayed in that room. But when I finally got the courage to step out, the gas station was empty, the wagon gone. Only one thing was left behind, a note on the counter, written in shaky, smeared handwriting. Next time, don't leave the door open. I quit that morning. Never went back. But sometimes, when I'm driving alone at night, my radio crackles, and I hear my own name.